Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Zone Star State podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Ishmael Johnson. And Ish, it's our first podcast in the month of March. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Definitely feels like March is heating up. Been at the basketball state championships, and it's gotten me in the mood for tournament championship level, winner take all.
Huge game tonight. First of all, San Antonio basketball is up. I don't
Yes.
know
Oh my God.
if anyone's
Yes.
heard. We're up. We
Yeah.
haven't been this up in a long time. The women's side, we've always been pretty good.
Yes.
But the men's side, the boys' side, Brennan and Harlan in the state. And the funniest thing is Northside ISD, which is where they're both from, tweet out the first district to have two state semifinalists. I'm like, well, it was never possible before because obviously now it's two divisions instead of just one. But they were like the first district to ever have two teams, and I'm like, I love it. It's Brennan versus Baylor tonight at Texas Southern. I don't know if I can find a way to stream it. If y'all stream it, whoever's streaming it, someone drop me a link.
Sheldon Henderson versus Kingston Fleming is going to be incredible. Even on the girls' side, Wagner made the state title game. Ellie Snead, of course, Utah signee. She was there. Aaliyah Chavez put on a little bit of a show, probably a disappointing game by her standards, but was enough for Lubbock Monterey to still win. Huge crowd on hand for her. Casual crowd on hand for that Saturday. I think it was Saturday, 11 and 1 p.m. The 5A games have bigger crowds than the 6A because of Chavez and Snead. They were back to back, so it was massive, and I'm very much looking forward to the boys. Like you said, hopefully Brennan can get it done, or if Bel Air pulls an upset, like that's massive. And then Corpus Christi Vets Memorial with Billy White III, who's also a 4-star. It's really cool. It's gonna be a really good event.
Yeah, I was happy for the city of San Antonio when it was Steele versus Brennan in the region final, I guess. And, Brennan ends up winning by 30 or whatever. But they had it. First of all, it's an indictment on UTSA facility in their gym. The fact that they didn't play it there because
it was a very.
I'm not sure they could have fit in there.
No, I was about to say that's the thing is like so Steele and Brennan. I was talking to David Hinojosa from the San Antonio Express News. He was there because he posted a video of it. It looked claustrophobic. Like I was looking at the video and I was like, I don't know if I would have been able to go. Like not even like get in, but like physically comfortably stay there.
That is my favorite high school gym I've ever been in because it is like built for high school games almost. Like it is a horseshoe. It's great. Like
it's
I don't know.
Everybody's on top of each other.
Yes.
Like it's very
feels. It makes you feel big when you go in there and you play in there, you watch games in there. But obviously this is a region final. So even for that venue, it's like you would hope there's a college nearby that had some sort of facility.
I don't know why they didn't go to St. Mary's. St. Mary's in San Antonio is a great gym. But that's my thing.
I was saying drive up to Moody and just play.
Screw it, go to Moody. You'll travel. They'll travel. Like that's a top matchup. Obviously the score itself wasn't a top matchup, but like Steele and Brennan, like those are programs that'll travel. So yeah, I don't know. I do wonder because like there's not many college gyms being used. I think maybe ACU and Lubbock Christian were like the only gyms like in general from like girls and boys being used. So I don't know if this was like. If it's like a scheduling thing or if they're more expensive than whatever, because football uses like Baylor Stadium and DK. So I don't know if it's just like a different facilities rental issue or whatever. But yeah, they were cramming last night. Allen and Duncanville. They played at Coppell. Coppell holds like maybe 2,000. Like that would have sold out. Like that would have sold out Moody and SMU. Like that would have been incredible. They sold out. I think the tickets went on sale Monday and they sold out like on Monday or yesterday. Yeah. I don't know why it's different for high school basketball as opposed to high school football, but there's so many gyms around here. UTD, UTA, College Park. Like there's so many good college facilities here that I just don't know why don't get used. But
Duncanville and Allen play tonight or yesterday? They play tonight?
Tonight.
Okay,
Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask. We have our Matt Stepp going. He's having a contact. Like he's he doesn't know if he's gonna be able to get in, so he's having to work some like phones as far as like his coaches and coaching contacts to be like, hey, can I get in? Like, can I just hang out for like an hour or so, like when school's out or something? Because like I don't know if there's gonna be a line out the door. The last time I remember a big game was at Coppell. I don't know why Coppell's the headline gym.
I've been there before. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice facility, but I don't know why it was Drew Timmy's Richardson Pierce versus Geyer versus the Jalen Wilson Geyer.
Yep.
There was a line through the parking lot from the entrance, and I drove up, saw the line, and drove back. I was like, I ain't dealing with this. It was like, this is gonna be a classic game, but I ain't dealing with this. I am not for this. So yeah, there's our annual rant on state. Regardless, I'm very excited for the boys. It should be cool. Kingston Flemings or Shelton Henderson's going to make it. On the smaller school side, Grayson Rigdon, he was the awesome football player who played 11-man for the first time this year. He's still scoring 30 points a game in 3A. He's probably going to make it. They have to beat Onalaska. I mentioned Billy White III, who's a 4-star in 26. For Corpus Christi Vets. He's gonna. I mean, they're undefeated. I believe they're 29-0, so they have a big shot to make it. It's a really, I think the girls, aside from Chavez and Sneed, the girls lacked a lot of star power in the 6A ranks. There was maybe Camille Williams, who's going to Miami from Boswell, but there wasn't like those DeSoto years where like there's just one team with loaded. Like Summer Creek won. I don't think they have a D1, at least high level D1 player on the roster. Boys, it's definitely different on the other hands, right? You got Brennan, Allen, Duncanville. Allen or Duncanville is going to, Caden Edwards for Duncanville. That's going to be great. Kimball's coming back. It's loaded on the boys' side, so I'm very, very pumped to see whatever they can do. So it should be good.
Yeah, I need to find a way to get some streams in here. Supposed to be covering LSU versus Kentucky tonight, men's basketball, but
I'll say this: even in the 1 and 2As, they don't have obviously they don't have the high level recruits, but there's still like a couple players that are probably averaging like 35 points a game, like legitimately at the 1A, 2A level. So there's some players who can just play, and obviously they'll be playing somewhere D1, D2, D3 after this. But yeah, I saw Perrin Witt, one of the 1A schools, they have a kid averaging 30 points a game. So I'm like, I will just see somebody wreck shop.
And that's your first day is that tomorrow?
No, it's Thursday. I go down tomorrow. Thursday. I go down to San Antonio tomorrow. So, but yeah, first game's Thursday.
Perfect.
Yeah. And the new format's amazing, by the way, too.
And what's amazing?
The new format, because they divide it into divisions now.
Yeah.
And so it's not 6 games a day; it's only 4, and it's so manageable. It's so much more manageable. My day doesn't end at midnight. My day ends at like 10 o'clock.
Yes. Yeah, it's not. It's just the championships now instead of the semis and the championships.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's been good.
Good. All right, college basketball. We're starting on the women's side. There was a battle for the Big 12 championship on Sunday night.
Yep.
And TCU got it done in Waco. 51-48 win over Baylor. Not how I expected this game to go with all of the offensive firepower on the court, because I think last time they played, they got up there a little bit. This time it was just a defensive gridlock, and TCU pulled it out, hit a couple big shots late, especially in the fourth quarter, extended the lead to I think like 9 at one point. Baylor fights back, tries to get all the way back, and they can't. Where do we start when talking about this game?
I mean, I think that I'll start I think you can start with one thing that kind of combines both teams. I think this was both an historic year for TCU, obviously winning the title at Baylor, right? The perennial power in the Big 12. That's always had your number. But also, I can also say that this was a resurgent year for Baylor as far as getting back to being a Big 12 contender. Obviously, if you look on paper, you don't want to lose the title to TCU, especially at home. But I'm going to look at it for both ways going into the Big 12 tournament, and then we can assess them after that heading into the NCAA tournament. I think that I was worried, and I think you at times were worried this year that Baylor wasn't going to be a team that would compete with TCU or Iowa State at times. And I think that they were able to fix a lot of what we had, a lot of issues that we had with them midway through the year, whether that's involving Vonleh more, whether that's Yaya Felder getting involved, Aaliyah Matharu. Obviously, she didn't play great this game, but Aaliyah Matharu across the season coming in just her own, Dariana Little-Page Bugs. But then with TCU, like, we were waiting for them to beat some pretty good teams, right? We were like, okay, you get bullied by South Carolina. There is still a thing for me as far as Sedona Prince versus players who can kind of match her size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a little bit of a thing where it's like, can she step up to go toe to toe with those? Or is she somebody who just kind of takes advantage of undersized matchups? And they, aside from Oklahoma State and Kansas State, they took care of business. Basically, after that South Carolina game, I had my worries, and they shaped up a lot of the issues that I had en route to winning, obviously their Big 12 championship.
Yeah, congrats to TCU. Obviously, friend of the pod, Mark Campbell.
Yeah.
Came on here twice this year. The only coach we've had
on
twice.
I was about to say, is he the first coach to have on twice? We've had on twice?
In the same season, yes.
Same season, yeah.
In the same season, yes. So we're gonna put him on the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
In this podcast. My biggest thing was defensively. I can't believe how well that they defended Baylor. Like this is, and I understand. Like the only thing for Baylor is that they didn't have Little-Page Bugs this last stretch of the season, which is important. I don't know if there's been an update on her on social media or anything like that. I don't know if we talked about it, but regardless, Yaya Felder was very aggressive, 17 points. Vonleh, very aggressive, 17 points and 10 rebounds. But the interesting thing about TCU is they were always in the right spot. They don't force a ton of turnovers. We've talked about it before. Their turnover differential, like every game, is like they have more than their opponents. And sure enough, same game, they had 18 turnovers to Baylor's 6. Like that is a drastic difference.
Yeah.
Especially considering they also got out rebounded in terms of offensive rebounds, 12-8. So you have, 16 less possessions than the other team. And the only way you're going to win is if you hold them to like sub 30% shooting. And that's exactly what they did. Baylor shot 27.7% from the field and 2 of 12 from 3. And I honestly, the 2 of 12 number, the 12 is more important than anything else because you only let them get up 12 threes. And this is a Baylor team that would love to have Sarah Andrews pulling 6-7 threes a game. Aaliyah Matharu shooting 6 threes a game. They combined to shoot 3. Like that is a game plan that TCU executed perfectly. Haley Van Lith had like 2 blocks that were like, she's in their face, making plays. Madison Connor didn't even shoot great, but I thought she defended great. Eminopu, Hunter, all of them. Huge credit to TCU for just defending and locking up with a title on the line on the road. It felt like a Game 7 from 2005 when it was the Spurs Pistons, and you're like, nobody's scoring the ball here, and someone is going to win this game shooting 35%. Yeah. And that's exactly what TCU did.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, I think that's actually a good throwback reference, the Spurs Pistons series. I will say, and like to TCU's credit, they hadn't won those type of games, right? We hadn't seen them play. And I mean, we've seen them play those type of games before, but like they weren't the ones winning it. South Carolina, we look back at South Carolina, we look back at games where I mentioned Sedona Prince was pushed around a little bit or wasn't the absolute dominant force. And they were like, ooh, is there something going on here? Kansas State, again, looking at this Kansas State loss. And this was a game where, like you said, like they were like, okay, this is the type of game it is. Hostile atmosphere, shots aren't going down. We got to figure some things out. Vonleh is right there with Sedona Prince. We got to figure this out. And in the end, I think you see, I mean, again, this whole season has been like a revelation for Haley Van Lith, the perception of Haley Van Lith, right? She is that player. I think she had a shot before the end of the half where it was like they just drained the clock all the way down and she just took a step back shot and boom, nailed it. And it was like, okay, like that's the confidence that was missing last year. And that was the confidence that was curious if we'd see again, right? The level of shot making and shot taking that made her an All-American player as at Louisville. And yeah, I'm now very, very interested to see where this team falls when the seedings come out, right? And they have a great shot to win the tournament as well. Yeah. What happens with this team in the tournament? Because they did have a bad loss to South Carolina, who hasn't looked the best.
What are the losses? It's Kansas State. I know the Kansas State one is their only
Kansas State,
loss.
Oklahoma State, and South Carolina. That's it. So it was like 3 losses, but like one of them was a bad loss to the best team they played. One of them was a loss to a team they probably should beat in Oklahoma State. And then a competitive, I can't remember, was Lee healthy for that game?
No, I don't.
No, she wasn't. So, okay, well, sure. So I think they might be locked into it too. Maybe, I think.
Yeah. If they win the tournament.
If they win the tournament, yes.
But yes, if they win the tournament, I think they can bump up to 2, especially with LSU slipping late. So, but I do think there's a path here for them to get to 2. But this is
so anyway, we'll talk about the tournament later and stuff.
But like you said, they had lost when the shots weren't falling against Kansas State on the road. They lost 50-59. When shots weren't falling against Oklahoma State, they lost 59-60. Like this was their kind of breakthrough moment. Be like, all right, shots aren't falling against Baylor, a high level offense, and we still found a way to win this game. That's what we weren't sure about this team, and if they could do that, because in the tournament, they're gonna have to do this. Yes. Like I don't know if it's the second round, the third, or the Sweet 16, Elite 8. You're gonna have to win a game where you score 58 points, 60 points, and let's see if they do it. And they just did. So great win. Congratulations to Mark Campbell, Haley Van Lith, Sedona Prince, all of them. So all right, men's basketball. It's dire. It's dire here for both of these. I don't know which to start with. We'll start with A&M here because it's the less, I guess, dire. They've lost dire, They've lost 4 straight, and we've been raving about them all year. They now lost 4 straight, and I think it's a chance for a lot of people to jump off the bandwagon, especially because they play Auburn at home tonight. Is this Auburn game at home? Is this a big game to you?
Yes, but I don't see. Well, because to me, I don't think Auburn. I don't know how much to take from this game from Auburn's perspective, because they won the conference.
Exactly.
Yeah, they won the conference. So like, I'm not saying they're going to throw the game or anything, but mentally, there's just something about going to A&M and like you already won. You're going to be fine in the tournament. So whatever, like you're probably going to be number 1 seed regardless. So I don't know. I don't want to take too much from this, because like if A&M comes out and blows them out by 15, all of a sudden it was like, okay, Auburn got caught sleeping. Like that's no big deal. Now, if A&M comes out and loses this by 15, then yeah, I'm probably still having issues, because like that's an Auburn team that just said didn't have much to play, doesn't have anything to play for. So I'm just hoping for a competitive game. I'm not going to take too much from it either way. The LSU game I'm more interested in, because like on the road, LSU, as you know, not that great.
Nope.
But A&M's on a bit of a slump. They beat them by double digits, I believe, last time. But regardless, when you're in a bit of a funk, these type of games, as we saw, like Vanderbilt, right, like Mississippi State, games that you're probably a little bit better than. Like
Vanderbilt one was the one they couldn't lose at home.
Right, exactly. And so I mean, by the way, shout out Jason Edwards dropping 15 on him in that game. So I mean, again, I'm going to take more. I'm going to take more into the LSU game as opposed to the Auburn game. I think the Auburn game, I'm going to keep an eye on. If it's a blowout either way, that's interesting. But I'm not. This isn't Auburn. Like this isn't Auburn versus who they played last week, where they had Kentucky, right? Where they just come out and blitz Kentucky because they need to win, and they know that wins in the title if Tennessee beats Alabama or whatever that was. So
I think there's a little bit of pressure here. They should have a mental edge over, like the approach in these games. Auburn will come to play. Bruce Pearl's not going to let them just not show up. But A&M should have a different mental edge here than Auburn. And they should be able to physically try to take it to them here. Will they be successful? I don't know. And so it gets to like the bigger conversation here of the offense has dipped. And we've talked about it. We've joked about it ever since Buzz Williams has been the coach. They're 15th in the conference in effective field goal percentage. They're dead last in 2-point percentage. They're 14th in 3-point percentage. The problem is their offensive rebounding is dipping a little bit, not a ton. It's like 4%. It dipped from the non-conference to conference play. But that's enough. Like a dip from 42 to 38% is enough to where if you're not making shots, like that's 4 possessions, potentially like 3 or 4 possessions a game you're not getting. And in these games between the margins where it's Vanderbilt by 2, Tennessee, which was tight for a bit, like these games you can't like slip there. And so now if that starts slipping at all, if that offensive rebound percentage doesn't get back close to 40 or at 40, then it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Because the game plan was to grab every miss, and we're not grabbing as many misses.
Yeah, they're definitely not winning that battle as much, and they're also not getting to the line as much either. Like that was the other thing was like, okay, cool. Well, if they don't grab the board, they'll just be able to get to the line. Or they're not good at shooting free throws. Like they have to win like every So they have to win they have to get every single whistle basically to make up the math of their misses to be able to make that a viable strategy. And I guess for me, I just thought that would eventually like even out, right? Like I was like, oh, there's no way they're just going to keep shooting that badly. They get a lot of free throws. They're just eventually things got to turn and they'll be fine. No, they're not good at shooting free throws. And even in the Vanderbilt game, that was just a defensive collapse. They didn't even shoot that bad. I think they shot like 81% or something. That strategy, I think we're seeing the limitations of, like you said, that when you think of other teams in the past that have had that, offensive rebounding, physical, get to the line strategy. Look back at the Houston teams right before the Jamal Shead kind of rise. They at least played top caliber defense to where they could win games straight up with a bad, aesthetically bad offense. Even last year, 2 years ago with A&M, right? Like they were playing a brand of defense and a level of defense that, okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to shoot 30%. We're just going to get these offensive boards and we're going to stop them from scoring. That's just not happened at all this year. Like in conference, they've been one of the worst defensive teams in the SEC. And I don't know if it's just Buzz Williams kicking up the tempo.
Wait. A&M's been one of the worst defensive. I don't know if they've been one of the
worst. Sorry. Field goal percentage wise. Sorry.
Okay, field goal percentage
wise. Teams. Yeah. Sorry. They're.
Hold on, he scared me I was like,
they're
still playing some defense, but yes,
they're still playing some defense, but not to the level of where these offensive lapses. Like they're terrible. Shooting the ball.
Let me say one thing to support your point here.
Sure.
They are first of all, they're 13th in the conference in 3-point percentage defense. All right, that's already bad. Teams are shooting better than 36% from 3 on them, which is a problem. The bigger problem is that teams are shooting a lot of threes on them. Mm-hmm. They're 357th in 3-point attempt rate defense. And if you look at the last 4 losses,
they're 16th in the conference.
Yeah, dead last in the SEC in that. If you look at their last 4 losses, Mississippi State attempts, this is just attempts from 3, 25, Tennessee 27, Vanderbilt, I know shot a lot. 24, and Florida shot 33.
Yeah.
And all those teams shot, it was like 42%, 33%, 35%, so on. So we're already talking about the math, not mathing here if you're A&M.
Yeah.
And the other team is jacking threes, and you are struggling to A, make shots, and B, make free throws. So now I'm worried.
Yeah.
Now I'm worried.
Yeah,
now I'm panicking.
Yeah, no, I am too. Because looking at KenPom, nationally, teams get 38% of their points from the 3-point line against A&M.
Yeah.
They're 14th as far as giving up the most percentage points from the 3-point line in the country. In the SEC, they're number 1. No team gives up more percentage points from the 3-point line than A&M. That is, teams have found a way to beat A&M. They that's it. They found the key, right? There's like, okay, cool. We just won't go in the paint. Like we're just not going to go in the paint at all, right? These guys are lengthy. They can play defense that way, right? They can play lateral defense to where you're not driving the ball easily. Wade Taylor can defend. Zurich Phelps can help a little bit. Like, there's all these things. Okay, cool. We just want to attack. That's fine. You're going to give up this 3-point line. We'll take it. And Yeah, I'm worried about this. If this was an Auburn team that had something to play for, I'd be more worried. I'm still cautiously.
They need to win. They need. I don't want to say they need to win, but they need to come damn close to winning, if not winning.
Yeah, this needs to be a good game. This needs to be a good game.
I think so.
So
okay,
yeah.
we'll see. They got, like I said, Auburn then LSU the last 2 games here. On the other side, Texas loses to Georgia 83-67. This was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're still going to talk about it on a Tuesday because I think it's over. I think it's over. Like, they haven't lost in the SEC tournament yet. So we'll wait till that happens. But I think Rodney Terry's done. I think that does it. I think the knife was already pretty deep in there, and now
Let's
it just
see
got
where Texas would be right now in the tournament. So they are. What are they right now? What place?
With Lenardi's or what?
No, the SEC tournament. 1, 2.
Oh, the SEC tournament.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so
the 13th.
They're 13th. So they would play. They play the 12th. So they play Arkansas. Yeah, they could lose that.
and then even if they win that, they'd play. I guess it's a double bye, so they'd have to play with the 5 seed.
The 5.
The 5 seed is probably Missouri.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Missouri. So
Missouri just.
It's either Missouri or Tennessee. I think there's 1 game separating them right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, look, they're losing that. They're not making it past the second round. They may not make it past the first round. They already lost to Arkansas once in overtime. They lost both games to Arkansas. I didn't even realize they lost both of them. So they might not make it past the first round. And if that's the case, yeah, nope, you ain't going back to Austin, dog.
They lost to Georgia by 16 points in a game they were down 20 like the whole time, at home.
Yeah.
And so Lenardi has them in the first 4 out conversation. I've seen other bracketologists has them as like the next 4 out. I think there's no doubt that they need to. If you're going to make the tournament, obviously you have to win that second round game at the very, very least to add another quad 1 win to your resume. Even then, I'm not sure that they get in, but I think that's their only viable path. And even then, you're in a play-in. Like, you're in one of the 11 or 12 seed play-ins here, whatever it is. To save Rodney Terry's job, we talked about it before, it's going to take a lot more than just winning a play-in game in the NCAA tournament. Like, you're going to have to win a game or 2. We're talking Sweet 16 run to save the job here because this is untenable. The fan base is done. Everybody is done with this regime and this era of Texas basketball. It's come crashing down so quickly, and yet it's not surprising.
I was about to say, like, I hate to be the ones that are like, we told you so, but also like, we kind of told you so. I think I literally found a tweet from that year, from 22, I think it was, where I was like, I think they were in the second round, or no, they had some bad loss in the Big 12, I think, late in the season. And the exact phrase was, I'm not somebody who would hire him unless they made the Elite 8. I literally said the Elite 8. And then what happens? They made the Elite 8. So the thing literally happened. But like, there's a reason why I was still hesitant after that season of them doing pretty well, because you look back at that roster was a Final Four roster, man. Like, that roster was a team that was built to make the Final Four. That was Chris Beard's second year. That was a team that showed flashes the first year, disappointed overall, in my opinion, somewhat, but the next year was built to make a championship run. And they did it with a guy who kind of had an emotional boost, right? The team rallied around him. I will give him credit. He did a good job, led them to their best year in 10 years. But we know the limitations of it. We just do. We can look at Fresno. We can look at UTEP. We can look at all these places where he's left, and the program kind of got a little bit better. Like, things didn't, or you can look at players leave and they're better, right? Not even Bryson Williams, not even Sule Boom. Look at Tyrese Hunter right now. Look at Trey Mitchell right now. Trey Mitchell is actually a double-digit scorer at Kentucky right now, right? Like, he does not know how to maximize the talent that he's able to acquire. And in some cases, I'd say he's underperformed in acquiring the talent. You look at the roster this year for Texas, outside of Trey Johnson, who is a guy that you would see on a Final Four 6-man rotation?
No, nobody.
Yeah, nobody. Like Tennessee, putting these guys aside, Trey Johnson to the side. Yes, awesome, great job. You got a top pick. Who you putting? I love Kendall Weaver. Putting Kendall Weaver in.
Yeah, Kaluma's not on it either. Like Kaluma was at Kansas State.
Like maybe Tremont Mark, maybe.
Tremont Mark was. I mean, yeah. When he was younger, he was like in the rotation at. Arkansas or Houston.
Yeah, but this version of Tremont Mark probably not. No. He ain't making Auburn's 6. No, right, 6-man rotation. No. So like when you also don't bring in the talent, what is Rodney Terry the coach for? Because that's what I would have if you just banked on him bringing in everybody. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. Rodney Terry's going to bring in, let's say he brought in Ron Holland his first year, right? Ron Holland doesn't go pro. He comes in. Okay, cool. You get back-to-back years of bringing in a 5-star, one and done. Boom, awesome. But the 24 class ain't that great, or the 25 class ain't that great.
No, it is. I think the dagger's in. It's been done. We've said it's been done for a while, but they've now lost 6 of the last 7. And who do they have left on their schedule here? Let's go see. Mississippi State on the road, not going to go well probably, and then you have Oklahoma at home, which will probably could be like
is that a loser leaves town match?
Yeah, I was about to say this is probably a playing game for Oklahoma and Texas here in Austin. If they lose that, he's not making it to freaking Selection Sunday. He's getting him out immediately. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good conversation.
Be adults about this. Go hire Will Wade.
Yeah.
Be fine. Just go be adults about this. Recruiting violations are childish. Go get Will Wade. Who cares about LSU? That stuff is so 2018, 2019. Don't care. All that stuff's legal now. Who cares?
Yeah. Let's just come on. Just do it.
Be adults.
All right. Quick results. Quick hitters for men's basketball, and then we'll get to tournaments. Baylor beats Oklahoma State 71-61. We said they needed that win. They get the win. They have at TCU, I believe, tonight, and then home versus Houston next. They need to beat TCU. I think they need to beat TCU on the road or Houston at home. They need to beat TCU on the road. I don't think they're out of the tournament if they lose TCU on the road, but it's another loss to a non-tournament team. It's just your resume continues to take a hit. You kind of need to win this game at the very least to avoid being an 11 seed or a 10 seed. Come on now, we have standards here at Baylor.
I was about to say you should have some pride. Because also you want a team that's not going to take their foot off the gas, Houston, despite the fact that they've won the Big 12 title already. They've literally finished out, I think last year and the year before, they finished out on 8-game unbeaten runs into the regular season when they've had the conference well won. So you're not going to want to have to face them because they're not going to let up.
Correct. Speaking of Will Wade, McNeese beat Lamar 68-66. McNeese already had the conference title wrapped up, but Lamar continues to show that they are the next team after McNeese, that they can push them, that if everything breaks right, they can beat them. It's just they haven't done it yet, and we'll see if they can do it in the tournament. But I didn't.
Did you see McNeese also hung a combined 195 on UTRGV and SFA?
No, I didn't see that.
They beat UTRGV 100-65, and then they beat SFA 95-64.
Dude.
So it is very much a distance between Lamar, McNeese, and then the rest of the Texas.
Yes, I'm trying to Texas team. I'm trying to make sure everybody knows Lamar is a very good team, and in a normal year of the Southland, they probably win the Southland. But Will Wade is at McNeese, which is unfair. I did want to say SMU and TCU men's basketball are officially out of the tournament. We've been tracking both of them. We've been saying, all right, there's a path. SMU lost to Stanford. And TCU lost a pair of games, I believe it was. I don't have it in front of me right now. But
TCU lost to Cincinnati and West Virginia.
Yeah, so
West Virginia almost by 20.
Yeah, so we were hoping that maybe after the Texas Tech win, you go on a run to end it. That didn't happen. TCU's out. SMU also out.
SMU had done so well against teams outside of the top 4
Correct.
that loss is very disappointing.
Yeah, I think that was their whole thing was like against quad 3, quad 4, they were undefeated, and then quad 2 they were winning most of their games.
Right.
Heck, I think they were undefeated in quad. Yeah, because Mississippi State at home, I guess technically is a quad 2, but regardless, they were like really good in quad 2s. Stanford is 86th in KenPom, and they lost that game. So I think that'll probably do it for them, barring obviously a tournament run where they win it. But and then the last quick hitter here, like we talked about, Houston winning the Big 12.
Oh,
I touched. All right.
You did the tab thing?
Can you hear me? No, I didn't do the tab thing. I'm not like I'm hold on.
For those that are, because we're technically still recording, so I want to keep this in, honestly, because I'm always the one that usually tabs out on this. So I think Brune, did you hit a wrong tab or what happened here? Oh, your mic's off.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay, sorry. Yes, the adapter that I have on the side of my computer, I like just touched it very lightly, and everything went off. So
everything just shuts off.
Everything was like, all right, you're gone. Houston won the Big 12, and they are 18-1. And I just want to give them before postseason talk, before anything about how far can they go in the Final Four, national championship. Bro, they're 18-1 in the Big 12. Like, if they were in the American and went 18-1, I'd be like, wow, this is a great feat. They just went 18-1 in the Big 12, in a conference that in all the other sports, when Oklahoma and Texas left, is like, okay, this conference is worse. Oklahoma and Texas this year, you put them in the Big 12, they're fighting in the middle of the pack. Like, this Houston team won the Big 12, arguably at its best that it's been since that year. What was that, where they had like the 8 teams and they were all great, whatever. Like the past like 4 or 5 years, because you added Arizona, who's awesome, BYU, very good. Texas Tech has had a resurgence where they're awesome. Even with Kansas having a down year, they're still a top 25 team in KenPom. Iowa State is awesome. Like, this is a great conference at the top, at the very least. We could say the bottom isn't great, cool, but the top is competitive, and it doesn't matter. They roll everybody. They've beaten Kansas. They just beat Kansas at home. The only loss was to Texas Tech in overtime. They're an overtime game away against Texas Tech, away from being like undefeated.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible.
And I do want to hit on something, because they're bringing in a really good recruiting class. We talked a little bit about Kingston Flemings at the top of the show, but this is the end of an era of Houston basketball, right? Like, this team, Juwan Roberts, I believe Crier's also leaving.
Yep.
I believe I can't remember who was also
Wilson.
Malik Wilson, Tugler may go pro, right? Like, there's a couple. There's
Xavier
a couple guys
Francis.
Yeah. So like, this is an end of an era for Houston basketball of this type of, I don't want to say type of player, because Samson will always have his type of players, but these were the guys, especially Juwan Roberts, and during their senior day presentations, like Kelvin Sampson actually like visibly cried when like Juwan Roberts came out, because it was like, these are the guys who, it's kind of cliche to say laid the foundation and all that, but like established the new identity of what we consider Houston basketball, right? It was the likes of Jamal Shedd. It was the likes of, even going back to Giroux, even going back to Chaney, Taze Moore, Quentin Grimes before that, right? Like, all those guys, like, this Juwan Roberts is kind of the last of his kind as far as like bringing Houston basketball back. And now they're just a top program, and now we just see them as a top program. So guys like Kingston Flemings, and I forgot the other guy they're bringing in, the other 5-star,
Christinek.
Yeah, and so like, they're going to be fine next year, right? They'll be a top team, depending who they get in the transfer portal as well. But like, they're not going to probably play the exact same, because like Kingston Flemings is a very different guard than what they've had before, right?
Yeah,
this grimy style that they've been, like Juwan Roberts has been the key to that basically through like 4 or 5 years. Before him, it was obviously Jamal Shed was a part of that, and then even Cryer adapting to that. This Houston team is going to be good. They're still going to be a contender, but going forward, it's going to look different. Like it just is, and I think we need to, like, you brought up a good point with just like respecting what they've done in the Big 12, but just like this era, this little time capsule. I'm going to look back on this team and this era of like kind of post Juwan Roberts, right? It's going to be like this part of Houston basketball, and then post Juwan Roberts Houston basketball. Still good, but it's going to be different. I feel like it is. They'll have their overall brand of defensive style and all that, but as we've seen last year, like the blitzing of screens and all that stuff, like that's different this year. Like this is going to be another turning of the chapter for the better, but still, I'm going to miss this exact brand of Houston basketball for sure.
Yeah, Juwan Roberts spent 6 years at Houston, the first one redshirting, so 5 years playing, and each of those 5 years they've been top 10 in the country on defense on Ken Palm.
Marcus Sasser, forgot about Marcus Sasser. I guess shout out Marcus Sasser. Can't forget about Marcus Sasser.
Yeah, this is this 5-year stretch has been unbelievable, and you can obviously they had wins before that, but this 5-year stretch of them making a Final Four and making runs in the tournament, getting hurt and keep continuing to play, they just find ways to win. The other 5-star, Isaiah Harwell, also have 3 of the top 20 players in the country coming in.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a very interesting year because they've never done that recruiting wise before since like the 80s, and so what he surrounds them with in terms of transfer portal is going to be very fascinating.
Yeah, it's an off-season conversation, but they need to try to keep Tugler, because I think Tugler is that cloth of Roberts.
I think there's a chance. I think he's only getting second round grades so far.
Yeah.
I've only seen him in like second round mocks. So like barring a big tournament run or big tournament performance, I think there's a good chance he comes back, but it's kind of on the fence.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got for y'all today. We will post this one Tuesday, and then we'll have tournament preview starting on Thursday for all the tournaments that are starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and all that stuff. And then we'll have another tournament preview on next Monday to really get into all of them. It's going to be just, tournament preview bonanza there on that podcast. So thank you all for joining us, and we will talk to y'all later.